Geographers. It is the night before your paper 2, the challenges of the human environment geography exam, and you are all ready to undertake this exam. I'm going to take you through some tips and tricks of how to succeed on the exam and making sure you answer the correct sections along with answering the specific questions correctly. Paper 2 is split into 3 sections similar to paper 1. Section A is urban issues and challenges, where you're looking at the problems within cities and how they've been overcome, and also what are some of the opportunities within those cities. So we look at Rio de Janeiro, which you can see on the page, and we also look at Portsmouth. So what has the government done to try and overcome the problems within Portsmouth? The final section is Section A is sustainable cities, where we look at how cities can be more sustainable with their energy, with their water, and in terms of their building. Section B is the changing economic world, and this is really split into 3 sections, but we focused on 2 major ones. Nigeria, where we looked at things like how TNCs have impacted Nigeria, like Shell. We also looked at aid within Nigeria and why aid is needed within Nigeria. Then we looked at the UK and the changing economic situation within the UK and what problems that's created. We looked at things like the North-South divide, but we also looked at the UK's changing economic and political position around the world, the idea of Brexit and how that impacts the UK's position. The final section of Section B is a mini case study on Jamaica, which you can see on the slide, where we looked at how tourism can overcome the development gap, both within Jamaica and with Jamaica being a low income country. The final section was Section C, the challenge of resource management. Now this part of the paper is slightly different to paper 1. You have question 3, 4, 5 and 6 on the exam. Now we have to look at all energy, water and food, and that comes with question 3. And that's just some general knowledge about energy, water and food and the challenges of those resources. But then we focus in on 1. So we answer question 3 and question 6. Question 6 is solely on energy. Now we only answer question 6 because that's the one we have the case studies on, where we've looked at the challenges of resource and energy management in Alaska, and then we also looked at the sustainable use of solar cookers as a way of providing energy. Now, depending on the question will depend on how you answer it. Now, what's brilliant about the geography exam and what is really helpful for every single one of you is that there are lots of different sorts of questions. So there are multiple choice questions. There are some maths and graphs questions, which I will remind you, you will need your calculator, you will need a pencil, you will need a ruler, and it's important that you use a pencil and ruler so that if it goes wrong, you can rub it out. There are also some short answer questions. Now be careful with these questions because sometimes they will ask for one reason. If it is asking you for one reason, you need to expand on that one reason. So 1 point, expand it, develop it further. And then you will have a series of different essay questions. Now depending on the command word, the word that we would box, the word that we would bug, will depend on what the question wants you to do. So on the board you can see describe and you can see explain. Now describe, you are just saying what you see. So for example, the question on the board is asking how urban areas provide opportunities. So you could say there's an opportunity of jobs which creates it money. Or you could say urban areas provide opportunities because they have lots of entertainment. Now you would then be explaining if you push that further, so by saying things like tourism puts pressure on the physical environment because that means more transport, so there is more carbon emissions, which means that CO2 levels increase and therefore that contributes to the enhanced greenhouse effect. So it's making sure that you develop your point, you're thinking in your head, so. Now with your 6 and 9 mark questions, it's really important that you look at the question to start with. So I'm recommending that you all use bug those questions before you start. Box the command word and underline the geography. If you're not sure on that geography, okay, underline it, maybe draw a picture next to it to see if you can remember what that word means. For your 6 and 9 mark questions, you need 2 main paragraphs. For your 9 mark question, you need a conclusion as well. Now, again, you need to be thinking about what that command word is asking. So if you are assessing or evaluating, you might need to do on one hand, on the other hand. It might mean that you need to do a paragraph on advantages or disadvantage. It will depend on the question, so that's why it's really important that you have bugged the question. Now, for your 6 and 9 mark questions, you are stuck at 2 or 3 marks, depending on the question, if you do not explain. If you do not explain why something is occurring, or why something is significant, or why a scheme is effective or not, you cannot get into level 2. To enter level 3, you need to be doing the assessing or evaluating. So you need to be taking it further and giving me your judgment. So it's really important on these questions that you pause and then answer them. Now you are amazing geographers, so you can absolutely conquer this exam. I wish you the best of luck. Enjoy every moment, okay? But you are exceptional geographers.